Welcome, welcome to the Midweek Reboot. My name's Mayan, and it's so good to have you here on a Wednesday evening. I hope you're doing well. And drop it into the chats. How has your week been thus far? It's really good to have you on board. Just relax, chill, take in what we're discussing today, and don't stress yourself. It's the evening here in South Africa. It's winter. It's cold, and wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. So let's start. But can you hear me? Firstly, thumbs up if you can hear me. If there's sound, thank you, Yesh, and welcome. So, the first thing I'd like you to do is cast your mind to the scenario. And you might recognize it as well. You step away from your desk and it's just for 20 minutes or maybe even less. You grab a cup of tea or coffee, or you duck to the shops to quickly get something, or you do a quick 30-minute, 20-minute workout. You breathe and you just relax and you're human just for that moment. And then you come back to your workstation. There's a message or a missed call or a missed Teams meeting call. And it's from someone who's senior, someone you might be reporting into. And this was sent whilst you were away. And then your stomach drops. There's that feeling of dread. I was not available. They might think that I've disappeared. I'm not working. And lots of thoughts go through running through your mind. What did they call for? What's happening? And that's just you stepping away for 20 to 30 minutes from your desk. If that feeling is something you know, then you're at the right place. Today we're going to talk about just that. Last week something happened to me, and after nearly 30 years working in corporates, I still felt it. And that one thing that I felt was fear. And we're going to talk about that fear. Where does it come from? And what to actually do about it. So, our topic today is the fear of being unavailable. Okay, my question for you is, when someone senior reaches for you and you weren't there, what's the first feeling that goes through you? Panic, guilt, dread? Do you feel exposed or caught out? What goes through you? You can drop it down into the chats. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me last week, and that initiated and inspired this conversation. Hey, Kelisha, welcome. Kelisha says, panic. Yeah, I start overthinking and immediately going to panic mode. Because what's going through your mind? What are they calling for? Why wasn't I available? Yeah, that's true. Yesh says, exposed or caught out for being unavailable. Exposed or caught out for being unavailable. Thanks, Kilisha and Yesh, for your responses. And the question is, do we need to be available 24/7? This is only one part of us. It's not our entire life. It's only one aspect of our lives. Okay, let's unpack that today. And here's the thing about fear, what it really is. It really isn't about that missed message or the missed call. It's about the belief that's sitting underneath it. And the belief is, I'm only safe if I am available, if I'm made available. So Yesh and Kelisha, why is there panic? Why is it that you're feeling exposed or caught out? And when you take your lunch break, which most of us don't, even if we work from home, we don't take our lunch break, we're working longer hours. Those are, we don't feel guilty for giving more, but we feel guilty when we're not there for just a few moments. And you know what? This feeling is also exhausting because also it's not even true that I'm only safe when I'm available. But you don't think about all that you're contributing to a piece of work, a team, an organization. So, nearly 30 years in corporate change and transformation. And I felt this fear last week. And it doesn't disappear with time. So, let me get into what actually happened last week. I was away from my desk for about 30 minutes to an hour, and a senior had reached out to me. It was unexpected and it was an earlier slot. So, the way I work is well, I pull in my work earlier in the morning. If I need to do something for 30 minutes to an hour, I do it. I don't take my lunch break, and then I work on. And it sounds as if I'm justifying it, but I'm giving you the backdrop. But when the specific senior called me, I was not available. And when I got back, I saw that there was a missed call, that the PA tried calling me, and there was a message. My body immediately, and I took notice of what was happening to me. My body immediately constricted, my heart started pounding, I felt hot, and I had, yes, used the word exposed. I had that exposed feeling that I was doing something wrong. But in that moment, it was an unexpected earlier slot. We had a meeting planned for a week from that time, but this was out of nowhere. This call came through, and I felt exposed. I felt that I shouldn't have been out for that period of time, and I thought, okay, how would I come across? It might be that I'll come across as if I am uncommitted. Uh, and especially because I'm an independent contractor. So you feel that you need to be available. And this year, when I thought about it as well, because I took a step back and I thought about it, 50 years on this earth, and I still felt fear. I felt like a little girl, as if I was in trouble. And the reaction that I felt, the reaction from me was huge, but the incident wasn't. And I'm going to tell you what actually happened thereafter. So stick with me. My question to you, and you can drop it into the chat: what's the story your mind tells you in that moment? What is it that goes through you? I felt exposed. I thought that people will think I'm uncommitted. And if I'm uncommitted, or if I'm seen as if I'm not committed, then also my position as an independent contractor is at risk. You can drop it into the chat. What's the story your mind tells you in that moment? Yesh says, I'd be seen in a bad light. And when you say you'd be seen in a bad light, you feel as if people are judging you, that you're not doing what you need to do, that you're not pulling your weight. And and that weighs down on you. Kelisha says, I think for me, it might be that I'm not reliable and that people can't count on me to get the job done. So these are the stories you tell yourself, that you're not reliable. People can't count on you to get the job done. This is what you perceive other people will be thinking about you. People will be seeing you in a bad light, as Yesh says. Viloshni says, hello, Viloshni, welcome to the live. She says, it feels like I'm in trouble. Yes, that's exactly how I felt. I felt as if I'm a little girl, I'm in trouble. And that's the fear that weighs down on you when you're not available when somebody calls you. So we need to separate the fact from the fear and separate what that fear made it mean, because fear can build things. The fact is, I deliver, I go beyond. So I told you about the nights that I might be working, the weekends I might be working, or early mornings. I work past my work hours. Nothing was broken. I just took 30 minutes to an hour. And it was an unexpected slot. It was not a scheduled meeting. The senior had time, so the senior tried to make with me. So, should I have been available at the entire time? And it was not a missed commitment. If it was a meeting that was already set up, and if I missed it, then that's on me. But that was not the case. And here, Kelisha used the word reliable. We need to make the distinction between reliable and reachable, because they are not the same thing. Reliable is when I commit, I deliver. So, Kelisha, when you commit to something, do you deliver? Then you are reliable. And reachable is I must be available every second to prove my worth. And what did I start off with saying? Work is but one aspect of us. And the second one is being reachable. That makes you anxious always. So when we did connect, I spoke to the PA, and eventually I got a hold with the senior based on their availability. And you know what? It simply was that they wanted my assistance with something. I wasn't in trouble. They just wanted my help on something. And they briefed me on what it was because they were available. They contacted me, and then I wasn't available. I immediately contacted the senior's PA and was able to set up some time based on their availability. Then we met. And it was simply that they wanted my help on something. And between the time of me contacting the PA until I had the session, it was going through my head, what is what could they possibly want from me? Because I know all of the things I needed to deliver on were delivered. So what exactly did they want from me? And when such things go through your mind, you can't rest, you can't relax, and that causes the stress. It's uncalled for stress. That fear that I felt triggered by this incident caused me stress for that morning until I was able to chat to the senior, and then my stress levels dropped. So you can see how fear can be blown out of proportion when you're simply not available when the senior calls. So, in terms of yourselves, have you been chasing reliable or reachable? Do you strive for to be reliable or always reachable? Because a lot of the times, most of us are wanting to be reachable. Then we have, then we feel as if are worthy when people are able to contact us there and then. So this is how I work through it, and I think I did it differently this time. Instead of um, so I did stress about it, but what I also did was used I thought about it. Let me take a step back, and in that time as well, I used AI as my thinking partner, not to answer my questions, but just to do a brain dump. Remember, I said, get things out of your mind, even if you have to write it down, if you have to talk to AI about it, do that. And I literally did a brain dump into AI as to what I was feeling. And just doing that brain dump and writing down my feelings using I felt so much lighter, even during that time of stress. It could have been worse off, but I thought, let me use it to just do a brain dump instead of that fear forcing me to just think about it. I took a more positive approach to it. So AI didn't fix me. There were still those lingering thoughts, but it helped me to think faster. It helped me to also realize that it was not an expected meeting. So it was okay to have missed it. I would not have anticipated that senior to have called me. So, my question to you is, when something rattles you, do you spiral or do you pause and ask why? You can drop it into the chat. When something rattles you, do you spiral or do you pause and ask why? And the thing that I did differently in this situation is I looked at the trigger. The trigger was the missed phone call. Then I took notice of what's happening inside of me. Firstly, my biological reactions to having missed the call, and then I used AI to do that brain dump. So those were the steps. Even though I was stressed out, my level of stress was not as much as it could have been if I didn't take those actions. Kelisha says, I spiral. You're not alone. If we don't take proactive steps and we don't think about the trigger and why certain things are happening, then we do spiral. And one thought leads to another thought that leads to another thought. And before you know it, you're down the rabbit hole and you're all stressed out, right? Yesh says, I don't usually stop to ask why I'm reacting in a certain way. And that's where I would challenge you. If you're feeling something, just stop. Look at why certain thing triggered you to act in a certain way. Even, and I realized I felt as if I'm a little girl again, and fear overcame me in that moment. And I realized it might be my younger years. It felt like I was back in school and I was in trouble. And that's the feeling that came through me. And 50 years on this earth, and here I am feeling that fear. So, my suggestion to you is stop, try and understand what triggered it and what could be the next steps forward. And here's a three-step. After I went through this incident, I jotted down some of the steps that would help when we're in such a situation. So here goes. The first thing is notice the trigger. The moment the body reacts, name it. This is fear, it's not fact. It's fear, it's not fact. When you say you feel that people will think you're not reliable, they can't count on you, that they'll see you in a bad light. So notice that this is fear that's working through. It's not you. You deliver. You wouldn't be in the position you are. You wouldn't have the responsibilities that you have if you were not reliable, if people couldn't count on you. And this is not only in the work situation. Understand that what is triggering that fear, and it's not factual. Two, choose a considered response, not a reaction. So you calmly consider how are you going to respond. You can reply clearly without over explaining. So for me, I didn't need to say I took 30 minutes to an hour, I was away and I couldn't respond to you. Actually, in that situation, I didn't need to give a response. I was just unavailable. But you don't need to over explain. I tend to over explain. So try not to over explain. You can simply say, sorry, I was not contactable at that point in time. Is there something that you wanted from me? Short, simple, and you can move on from there. And three, reframe it for the next time. What did this teach me about the story I tell myself? Why are you saying to yourself that you're in trouble, that you're not reliable, that people can't count on you, that they'll see you in a bad light? Why are you telling yourself that story? So you need to flip it and reframe it for the next time. What does that story, what does it teach you? What does that incident teach you about yourself? And then you can put things in place to actually try and counteract the fear that you're feeling. So I'm going to just repeat that. One, notice the trigger. What is triggering that response? Then you choose a considered response and don't just react. Don't try to over explain, but think about how are you going to calmly respond to that situation if you need to respond at all. And then your third one is reframe it for future. What did it teach you about yourself and how would you react differently in future? If you have any questions, please pop it into the chats. Your worth is not your response time. It never was. Your worth is more than you being available. It's about how you deliver. How do you show up? And that one incident of not being available does not determine your worth. You're much more than that. So, is fear going to get the better of you? Again, it's about the quality of the work that you provide, the consistency you've shown for years, and the trust that you've earned. We need to steer away from that little girl who felt fearful. And yes, even though 50 years on this earth, I still felt fear. And it might happen again. But now I have a framework that I can go to. I need to stop. I need to pause. I need to not get into that panic mode, that spiral. I need to take stock of what are the facts. And then the best response is when you do it calmly and when you're not stressed. And you know what? It's okay for us to step away from our desk. You're still doing your work, you're still committed, you're allowed to be a person. Yesh asks the question, what if the person you are reporting to is difficult and wants to know what you were doing? Good question. You need to determine, is this person a micromanager? And you need to, and if the person requires you to provide a detailed it's not it's not it's not possible for you to be available all the time. So you need to, even if the person you're reporting to is difficult and they want to know what you're doing, you need to see how you can calmly respond to that without over explaining. If the person's a micromanager, it's good if you provide them with, at the end of the day, you provide them with a list of things that you've been doing. So that calms them down. But it's not possible for you to account for every minute of your time. You need to also look at it. Do you deliver or are you shirking? Do are they do they have the right to ask you for every minute of your day what you're doing? So, and are you delivering on the work that they are wanting you to deliver on? It depends on the personality in terms of how you respond to that person. My key point of view here to you is do it calmly, don't over explain. And if it's in regard to something that they're worried about, then you can get back to them with some facts about what they're querying. Yes, the point is we do have micromanagers, do have difficult people, then you just need to determine how best to deal with that individual. The thing is we just have one life. Work is just one part of it, but it's not the whole of it. So you can't get, even if you work with difficult people, you can't allow their urgencies, their fears, their worries to impact on you. You need to protect yourself and see how you can work calmly and without absorbing their crises as well. My question to you is, what's one thing you'd let yourself step back from if you trusted your work spoke for you? So what's one thing you'd let yourself step back from if you trusted your work spoke for you? And that's something you can think about as well. If you don't have a response at this point in time, that's okay. But what's one thing you'd let yourself step back from if you trusted your work spoke for you? And your work does speak for you. You don't need to always be there. And you must trust it enough that If they're contacting you, I should have trusted myself enough that I stepped away from my desk and I was not available. It doesn't mean I was in trouble. It just meant I was not available. But when I got back, I was able to get back to the senior and do and request another meeting. And yeah, there the senior wanted my assistance. So sometimes it happens in our mind that we build it and that fear grows out of proportion. If there's no questions, we're coming to the end of the live, and today's a quick one. So, if there's any questions related to this topic or anything else, you can put it down in the chats and I'll pick that up. But is that something, did this live provide you with food for thought in terms of fear that goes unchecked and fear that is blown out of proportion? Is this something that makes you stop to think how you would react in the future? Because the incident made me think, and it made me realize that I can't just react. I need to pause, stop, reframe, think calmly, and then respond. Yesh says, thanks. I'm looking at my need to always be available in a different way. Yeah. And I think being available does not mean you have to be available 24/7. You can be reliable, but you don't need to always be reachable. Actually, what this reminds me of as well is certain times I will put my cell phone away, or I will put do not disturb on my in my Teams. That's my status because I'm doing deep work. During that time, I'm not available. I deliberately make myself unavailable so that I can concentrate. So it's fine. I don't feel guilt and I don't feel fear then if I miss a call. But if I step away, it's as if I've done something bad. So, and as Yesh says, she feels exposed or caught out. But we're not accounting for the times where we don't take lunch breaks, where we work much later, when we work into the evenings and in the weekends. We don't think about that. So I hope this gave you food for thought. This live gave you food for thought. So here's what I want you to carry away with you tonight. You are not your response time. You are not the speed at which you reply. You're much more than that. Being reliable and being reachable are not the same thing. And you were never meant to be available every second to prove that you matter. Kelisha says, this was an insightful live. I think I've always chalked it down to OCD and wanting to stand on business, but this taught me not to feel guilty about those moments that I'm not available. And yes, you need to you'll be caught out. I'll be caught out again. But it's about how do we react in that moment? Because guilt can eat at you. Are you still delivering? Are we outcomes based or do we look at the time and clocking the time? Because you would rather be outcomes based and effective than a time keeper and a time watcher. You can be at work for 8 hours, but it's not productive. Or you can be at home and working for 4 hours, but you are ultra productive. So, even when we're at work as well, how do we choose to be productive? And guilt should not be weighing us down. When the old fear rises again, and it will, you don't have to obey it. Notice it, you breathe, and you choose your response. The word of today's live is calm. Be calm, so then you can give a more considered response. Step away from your desk when you need to. You're still doing the work, you're still delivering. And remember, you won't be there if you weren't delivering. They would have gotten rid of you before. So people will keep you because you deliver. You're a high performer. Trust yourself. Don't try to be available 24/7, but you are reliable. Not reachable all the time, 24/7, but you are reliable. So that's our live for today. Thank you for joining me. I'll be here again Wednesday next week, 8 p.m. South African time for the Midweek Reboot. And if today landed for you, if you're watching this later on as a video, then please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thank you for your participation and your input. And remember, let work, don't let work um, get the better of you. You don't need to be there you don't need to be available 24/7. Don't let fear eat at you. As always, because you matter. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next week. Bye.